Welcome back to Political Connections. I'm Yvette Boussois. Continuing now the discussion about President Obama's Affordable Health Care Act, which is heard from Florida Senator Marco Rubio. And now we're being joined by State Representative Darren Soto from Orlando, giving us more of the Democratic, perspective on what the senator had to say. Your comment on Senator Rubio's remarks.
Well, first, he focused on the small business. One thing to keep in mind, you have to have 50 employees or more to be to fall in under the Affordable Care Act, and that was something that was noticeably absent from both his op-ed and from the discussion today. But the bigger picture is we have big problems in the healthcare system. We have over 4 million people who are uninsured, half of them children, 2 million uninsured children in the state of Florida. In addition, it's the main reason the healthcare system is broken. We have millions of Americans arriving at the emergency room, costing us billions of dollars, and there's no requirement that they have health insurance beforehand, and afterwards we end up spending more because they don't have preventative care. Not to mention students and other folks who can't afford it, so now they could be on their health insurance till 26 of their parents, as well as the fact of pre-existing conditions. So in the end, we see a lot of complaining, but no solutions, especially when this was a Republican idea to begin with. Romney passed this identical bill in Massachusetts, defended it, and now that it seems like they can make better voter fodder of it, they're attacking it as if it's the worst idea in the world, and that's just plain politics.
And I think from here on out till November, they'll talk about the cost. It seems to be the big question out there. Okay, so follow me here. With that said, let's assume that Mitt Romney wins the White House, that the Republicans get a hold of Congress, the House and the Senate. Do you think Obamacare will be repealed?
Well, I think they'll repeal the mandate, but I don't think they'll repeal the now popular items that they used to be opposed to, like keeping children on till 26 years of age.
So will they replace it?
I think they would. I don't think they're going to replace it at all. I think the whole deal is to complain about it, to repeal it, and provide no other solution. There was an attempt at a free market solution in Utah where they would have mandate-free coverage, so it wouldn't cover anything like autism or other more specific conditions, and it was an utter failure. There was no enrollment. In Florida, we had one Florida. There's a reason why most people haven't heard of it, because it also was a failure. Because if you get an insurance that doesn't cover anything other than a little bit of preemptive care, but these other major conditions, no one wants to bother. And so we end up with the same problem. You have the classic case of the 30, 40, 50-year-old going to the emergency room with advanced stages of a disease that could have been prevented by insurance, and in the end, we spend billions and going into the trillions of dollars in the emergency room. This whole bill was meant much like with auto insurance. If you drive, if you cause problems, it has a cost to society, and you have to pay for it in advance. But you could run reckless with your health for your entire life, go in, the emergency rooms cannot refuse you, and now we're paying, in an average emergency visit, thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So what you're saying, it's preventative care. So if the model works as the years move on and progress, the preventative care, more people being allowed to have health care, illnesses, conditions will be detected, and then they'll get the care before it kind of blows up, and that will alleviate the cost on the back end. Let me ask you this. When it comes to Florida Governor Rick Scott being very clear, he is not going to follow this mandate here in the state of Florida, what do you say to that?
Well, I say, thank God it's not his decision. It's the legislature's decision. He is in the executive branch.
You're almost foaming at the mouth when you say that.
And you see legislative leaders in the Senate and in the House, obviously I'm running for the Senate right now, have not said they're not going to take it. They've actually kept an open mind about it. There is an attempt to privatize the Medicaid system in Florida, and I think if the feds take that, you'll see legislative leaders of both parties warm up to it more.
What do you say to the cost, though, Representative Soto? The cost, because it's okay for like the first 3 years, and then it goes in increments. It goes up a percentage. So it is going to cost something in the end for the rest of society. No?
Right. And right now, that cost goes into the LIP fund, which is the low-income pool, over $1 billion to fund these public hospitals that have to take everybody.
It's called the LIP fund, okay.
So you'll see that we will spend less money on the uninsured because there won't be uninsured anymore. So it's an inverse thing where we have more people covered, ultimately everybody covered, and then we won't have to worry about all these high costs. Who pays for someone who has no insurance in the emergency room? We do. Now we'll just do it in a better form by preventative care throughout these folks' whole lives. And the other issue is children. We have 2 million children who are currently uninsured. They don't make it onto kid care, they fall through the cracks, and they'd be covered under this plan. And so this whole idea that we're borrowing, we're getting in debt for the future, this will protect the future. Half the people who would be on it would be children who their future is about health from the beginning. So
this is the perfect segue. Do you think the needs here in Florida are different than other states? You talk about the children. We've got the senior citizen population. Do you think our needs are different here?
Our needs are greater because we have a sales tax based budget. For instance, when you look at like New York State, they have a $140 billion, $150 billion budget. We have a $70 billion budget here. And because they have an income tax. While I would never support an income tax because that is our way of life here, we have a low cost, low tax, but low services government. But as a result, there are bad things. We constantly have trouble funding schools, and we constantly have trouble funding healthcare. And so we have a much worse off situation than some of these other states.
Yeah, Florida has a little more difficult. Hey, let's switch gears. We have about 30 seconds or less. I-4 corridor, the undecideds, the no party affiliation. There's a lot of them out there, and they're on the fence whether they pick a Republican or a Democrat to lead the White House. What do you see happening between now and November?
Well, it's no secret for about 4 years now, 8 years, that the I-4 corridor is where our presidents are forged. And I still think we will see that this year. I still think it'll go down to the wire. And I agree with Senator Rubio to the extent that people are angry about the gridlock. He has the agree bill.
You agree with the Republicans.
Well, yeah, in some things. The agree bill, sure, that should be passed, but they should also not be stopping the president's jobs bill. And then you have this Bush tax cut fight. The president supports $250,000 or less. You keep your tax cut. The Republicans want to run the full gamut up to the billionaires.
The discussion continues.
Right.
I know. We will be seeing you hopefully here in the future. Thanks so much for joining us. State Representative Darren Soto from Orlando, thanks for coming in today. And we appreciate your time, and now it's time for the results.